Well, as expected, UPS showed up today. And what I received is what I was expecting to receive. A new revolver. And, as the label says, it's the 1858 new model Navy in .36 caliber. So, let's see if what I ordered is what I actually received. Because this wouldn't be the first time I've received a revolver and got something a little bit different. Alright. Just the normal booklets, do's and don'ts, powder charges, and things like that. Hold the phone, hold the phone, hold the phone. Just stop right there. There's a plethora of unboxing videos when it comes to black powder guns. I have 2 on this channel already. So, as you saw in the opening scene, I did recently acquire a new revolver, 1858 Navy. And instead of giving everybody my first impressions, feeling all of the rough edges, checking the timing, and I will redo that in this recording right here. But what I thought I would do is, once I wiped all of the initial grease or the oil, packing oil, off the revolver and inspecting it a lot closer, I discovered that there was a quality control issue. And that's mainly what I want to discuss right here, and also tell your friends what I will be doing to this new revolver to make it even better. So what I want to do first is just have you listen to the timing. I've got 2 models here. I've got my .44 caliber Sheriff's model and then the new 1858 Remington. But just listen to the timing. It's actually really good. I don't know how well the camera will pick it up. And it's a solid lockup. Two clicks and that bolt. Now I can actually see just a hair of some pinning right here, but I'm hoping that as I use the firearm and shoot it, that those 2 pieces of metal will work themselves together and the cylinder lockup bolt will just drop right into place without actually, pinning the side of the cylinder. But I'm pretty impressed thus far with that. And when you hammer it quickly, she locks right up. Now I will tell you right now, the first thing I plan on doing is loosening the tension on the hammer spring, and I'll have to do that, with my belt sander, work it really slow, and instead of getting it flat, get a bevel across the top. And that's what I actually did with this one. And this one here, it's, for me, it's very, very simple. It's not that difficult, and it's not near as strong to pull the hammer back, but yet I still have enough of forward force to set the percussion caps off. That's the one thing that I'm going to do. And the wood is a little proud. The same thing was true with this revolver. It was a little proud. I took the wood down and just went ahead and, oiled it up, because I kind of like that, that matte look on the wood instead of the glossy, shiny stuff. So anyhow, that's the first thing that I'm going to do, is loosen up the spring, the hammer spring. And obviously I'm going to have to think about the trigger pull, just simply because there is a little bit of creep before she drops. But at that moment, without getting into the revolver right now, it feels just through my fingertip that there's maybe a little burr, either on the hammer or, you know, on the trigger itself, because I can actually feel that just a little bit. Now, with that being said, here's the quality control issue. And then, well, there again, before I get into that, the other thing that I will do right off the bat is, if you look at my 44 caliber Sheriff's model, you'll see a series of grooves on the cylinder pin. And thanks to Blackie Thomas of doing a video about cutting these little grooves in here, that helps pick up the grease that one would normally put on the bottom side of the pin. Now, I've actually built 2 of these from a kit over my lifetime, and I've never thought about, or no one has ever given me the cue to go ahead and cut these little shallow grooves. You don't want to go very deep, because, as you know, unlike the Colt revolvers, these cylinder pins are pretty small, especially since since a portion of it's already taken away on the bottom side of it where you would normally put your grease. So I plan on doing that. So, you know, there again, it's all about learning and how we can make these revolvers better. So, with that being stated now, when I also cock this, I can also feel just a slight drag. And here again, is it, pardon me, is it the mechanisms inside, or is it something else? Well, once I got it out of the box, got the initial oils wiped off, I pulled the cylinder out. There we go. And I noticed the inside of the forcing cone was full of metal shavings. Then I also noticed that, I know the camera's not going to be able to pick it up, but I also noticed that the face of the forcing cone and the face of where the cylinder pin rides was not blued. So it appeared to me, and initially thinking about it, is that once the revolver was put together, they had to go back with a file or something and create the gap between the forcing cone and the cylinder face. And those metal shavings were still in the barrel. And then feeling it with my finger, it's sharp. If a guy was to really work at it, you would be able to cut a circle in your finger. So obviously I'm gonna have to go back and do something with that forcing cone and re-blue it. And like I said, friends, I know the camera's not going to be able to pick it up, but if you can kind of focus, you can see where it's not blued. And like I said, there was metal shaving still inside the barrel. Now, with that being stated, I do want to show something here real quick. So, having struggled to get the cylinder back in, I do want to note something. Off camera, I got my feeler gauge, and the barrel to cylinder gap is 3/1000ths of an inch. That's pretty small. The issue is, and where I think I'm feeling a slight drag, is that the feeler gauge will not go all the way through. So when they filed down the forcing cone, it wasn't perfectly straight across the face of the forcing cone. So I know I'm going to, as you can see, the feeler gauge, I can't get it all the way through. And I tried inserting a 4/1000ths, a 4/1000ths won't even go in. With that being stated, I'm pretty impressed with that 3/1000ths gap, because that would indicate that most of the black powder burning would be behind the ball and very little of it will escape between the cylinder and the forcing cone. So obviously, before I actually get out and do some shooting with this revolver, I'm going to have to do some tinkering with it. And all in all, though, I am very well pleased with the Revolver. You know, most of us know that you're going to have to do something. You know, you're going to have to get inside the action, check for burrs, deburr it, and things like that. Now, in the past, especially on my 44 caliber, what I've also done, and I've done this in the past too, but I've only ever heard one other YouTuber talk about it, and that's Blackie Thomas, is that when you look at how the cylinder sets inside the safety, not the cylinder, but the hammer sets inside the safety notches that are provided with these cylinders, your hammer doesn't set all the way down flat up against the frame. You can see that it's setting back just a little bit. And what I've done especially when I built my second kit Revolver, I actually took a file, and I actually, if you take a look at the cylinder where your hammer sets right here, there's an edge on the ratchet mechanism that's in your cylinder. Well, what I've done and what Blackie Thomas has showed too is that you take a file and you just file that edge even where your hammer is going to rest in your safety notches. Gotta wait for the school bus to go by. So what that does is that allows your hammer to set flush with the back of the frame. It's not really a big deal. It's more aesthetics than it is anything else, because whether you choose to do that or not, and you carry 6 rounds and you put the hammer into the safety notch, it's not going anywhere. It's really not. So it's more of an aesthetics type thing. And what I did when I built my second Revolver from the kit, I actually did all 6. And years later, decades later, having watched Blackie Thomas, what he did is, if you look at your cylinder, there's proof marks on your cylinder. Well, he just chose to do the one after that. So as the cylinder turns and you see your proof mark, then the next notch, safety notch after that, is where you would rest your hammer. And that's what I've done. Instead of doing all 6, I just did the one, and mentally I know that the safety notch after the proof mark on the cylinder is where I would rest my hammer, which allows me to carry all 6 rounds. And with that being stated, I myself, I don't get involved with the cowboy action stuff. These are my field carry guns, and I do carry, whether I'm carrying my Colts or these, I do carry all 6. The way I think about things, 6 is better than 5. And for me, it's just mostly dispatching maybe a rattlesnake. I typically get out of their way, but every once in a while you come across one that's a little more aggressive. So anyhow, I hope what I've presented here will give everybody a little bit of food for thought. I don't know whether I'll go through and record, working on the hammer spring, or what I'm doing to stop that creep in the cylinder. I may even just decide to live with that. That's to be determined later. And I will tell you, before I sign off here, one of the reasons I chose Pietta over Uberti is simply because, well, a couple reasons. I like the fact that the Navy model has a dovetail front sight, so I can get some windage, and the elevation is just a matter of shortening up the height of the pin. And the other thing is that if I mess anything up in making these adjustments myself, replacement parts are not near as expensive as Uberti. And then one other last thing also, the reason why I went with a Pietta, the writing on the barrel doesn't bother me whatsoever, but I really like this 6.5-inch barrel. I would like to eventually see Uberti maybe do this same, or not Uberti, but Pietta make this same model only in 44 caliber. And that's the reason why I did not choose the Uberti, because in my mind and the way I think, if you're going to buy a 36 caliber in 7.5 inch barrel length, and knowing that the 44 caliber is 8 inch, then why not just buy the 44 caliber? Unless you really want 36 cal. For me, this Revolver is hell for stout. And as many of you know, this 36 caliber is actually built on the 44 caliber frame, so it is a lot more heavier than what the original factory models were back in the 1800s. So anyhow, I'm going to sign off. The sun is really beginning to be an eye irritant. You friends, have a wonderful day. Thanks for viewing this video, and I hope you'll take a moment to like and subscribe. I do have more content coming, and you friends all have a wonderful, blessed day. Bye.